In this tutorial, we're going to be taking a basic look at doing some color keying and also some roto work for some film that I'd shot with some friends from school. So what we're going to do here is our project file that we had created was in CS6, so I'm going to have to replicate some different things here in CS5 that had previously been done. I'm going to select both of these layers because they appear here in this timeline, and we split it up into 248 frames into a section so that we could divide it amongst our members. So what I'm going to do is select those two and go to Layer, Pre-Compose, and I'm just going to call this one, I'll call it my name. So if you were dividing this up in a project, this would be a nice way to have your project set up. So I'm just going to name it that, and I'll just drag it to the top here since it's just kind of our first sequence. Double click to go into it, and I'm going to retract this and hold shift to snap it. Right click and trim comp to work area. So what I did now is going to show up here pretty nicely. So if we had all of these grouped, and I'm just going to turn this to auto so my computer can keep up a little bit. This would be nice to have your different team members' names here designated to their own specific group. So then in your final project you can just return most of this stuff here, and they should line up pretty seamlessly. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this composition and just focus on this particular fight right here from this overhead view that we got. So I'll click here, and I'm sorry, actually I'm going to move this to the top so I don't get confused. This is the first footage that appears. So what I'm going to start out with, I guess we could go over the basic keyers because as you can see, when we filmed it, we didn't have this properly lit, and there's just going to be a lot of roto work that we're going to go in and do. So I'm going to click on this eyedrop tool, and I'm going to click here, so this lightest area maybe. I'll click right there, and what we're going to want to look at is our screen mat to make sure that we're going to keep the things that we want and leave out the things we don't need. So I'm going to adjust the clip black until an area that I like. You can go maybe higher. And what this is basically doing, we're going to use these clip white and black to get something relatively what we want. White is going to stay, black is going to go away. So definitely keep that in mind. It looks like here we're going to have to move this up a little bit. And then there we go. So you can see here I'm watching this corner, and that looks pretty nice. Keep in mind the characters here will be, they'll have their own roto and garbage mat on them. So I'm not too concerned as long as most of their forms are still represented, their silhouettes and things like that. So there we go. So that looks, you can finesse as much as you want. Obviously the closer to these numbers, the more extreme contrast you're going to have here in your screen mat. So the next thing I want to look at is just I think the screen shrink and grow. I think it's just nice to shrink it like a pixel or so. I mean, this is all up to your individual projects, but for this clip maybe I'll just scoot it back a pixel. I'll change this to hard color and then change this to like a blue, like a kind of solid royal blue. So maybe that will pick up some of our left behinds. And I'll blur it about 1.5 pixels, and maybe change this to a blue. I could also cancel this and just go to my actual final result, or not my final result, my source, and just use some of these eyedropper tools to get in here to where some of this blue is maybe spilling on to other things, or maybe in this case seeing a reflection. So maybe that could help us a lot. Let's go back to our screen mat, and let's see if we can adjust some more, because we can see we got this nasty spill here as well. So a lot of time doesn't really need to be spent here because, like I said, we're gonna have a garbage mat. This will just help us a little bit. But okay, well, it looks like it's just gonna stay there, probably because of this that I changed the D spill and alpha, which is going to help us in the long run probably to pull some of that blue out of everything. Alright, so I'll go ahead and start rotoing on this layer. What I like to do sometimes is start from the very back and then work in the opposite direction. So I'll start here with my pen tool, and I'll just let's see. We'll just draw our first mat around here. Um, One thing to keep in mind is that you want to keep this to. You don't want to have too many points, but you want to have enough points that you can still work with it in the end. So definitely keep that in mind. As I go around here, I'm gonna do both of these separately, and we could even take this further. We could have a mat for just the sword, a mat for just the right arm. It depends on kind of what shot. Since this shot they barely move, I'm just gonna kind of just do a basic garbage mat around these guys. Okay, so I know this is really boring watching me click around and finesse some of this stuff, but we'll get to some interesting stuff here in a little bit. Start seeing some results. Okay, so I'll finish up with the sword. Okay, just with the pen tool. Nothing fancy. Alright, so I'll close it off right here. And what I'd like to do now is I'm just going to shut my keyer off and go in here and make another mat. Okay, so this is kind of like the negative space. Alright, so I'm going to hit MM on my keyboard. Oops, MM. It'll show all of my my mask properties. M as in mask on the keyboard. And I'll change this second mask to subtract. Okay, so oops, double click, it will open it in the layer. That's not what I really want. What I want is just to hit return and rename this to this character's based on Macbeth, so you know, name it something relevant. Macbeth negative area. So this will be the just a basic. Oops. Enter or return on my Mac. Macbeth. You can name it anything. I'll just name it Matt. Okay. So you could, and then clicking on this color here, it'd be nice to change it to like a red, so that we're gonna have a lot of different mats in this one scene here, just because there's a lot of different characters set up here. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hit the stopwatch on our mask path, and this will allow us to actually have this mat animate. So I'll click this little to jump to the next keyframe, a little arrow here, and I guess I'll go back around 10 frames and just clean it up a little more. And you can set this to none so that you can at least see your area that you need to move it to. Okay. One thing to definitely keep in mind, you can see now all the points are active, so I could select one point and move it up right here to get it into like a rough position. Okay, I keep right clicking and doing weird things. I apologize. Okay, so deselect it. I'll just kind of click in this negative area where there's nothing. Make sure that you have this selected here in your timeline, and this makes it great because then you can marquee select essentially if you don't click on the mat again. So okay, there we go. Okay, we can move these into position, maybe move this hand a little more in and out. So having, a lot of people don't realize that if you have your mat selected, you're able to do these marquee selections, so it just makes everything so much easier. You don't have to click every single point. I could have swore in previous After Effects versions that if you locked the layer, that you would still be able to get and you know, you wouldn't push your layer around. I could have swore that was a capability, but I guess not in CS5 or CS6, but whatever. Just continue on. Okay. Yeah, and there's been times where I like click and activate the video. If you want to go back, I don't have to always go back down and click the mat. I can just click one dot and then it's selected again, as you can see. Okay, so this is, I guess, just helpful if you're going to be doing hundreds of frames. You know, that's very typical to do that many, or to have that much work to do. Okay, so we'll just move this down and we'll pull some of these dots. Okay, some of these tracking, well, not tracking, mat points or mask points. Yeah, so you can, I grabbed the video there, I'll have to go back, and you you guys can skip ahead to something else because all I'm going to do is just get these points in place. Okay, so I think that's part of Banquo's bow, but anyways, it'll still be in the shot nonetheless, so I don't really have to worry about that too much. Alright, pull some of these. Push and pull all day long. Pull this up. Okay, and we're going to try to remove some of this spill that's going to be inevitable. It's going to be something that's going to appear. So we'll just move this here. And that's good for tutorial's sake. You guys get the idea. You'll be able to move to different frames and set the keys how you need them to, and then definitely go to the in-betweens and clean this up even more. Make it really nice. Okay. So, and as I grab different points on my mat and displace them, it's going to automatically set a key. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just we'll turn on our key, and you can still see there's tons of, even with my mat, there's just tons of spill here. So there's something for that that works out pretty nicely. We're gonna go to, let's see, keying and this spill suppressor, and I guess that's a great thing about going ahead and setting up your key light, or going ahead and running this plugin first and then setting the spill suppressor, is this blue always appears for me, and it always seems to work pretty well, or whatever color the mat is. I mean, green, whatever. But you can see that looks a lot better, and plus when I come in here and blur this a couple pixels, I don't know, 5 maybe, whatever looks best. I mean, this is all trial and error stuff. This will look a lot better. So definitely go in, clean up your keys always, because there's never going to be a perfect key, as told by Ginger right here. Look at that. It's awful. Yeah, I used the reference from a Nickelodeon cartoon. But definitely all these people are going to have their own mats. Every single one of them. And then you would just continue this on this layer. So we might as well just go ahead and take a look at this. We're going to do the same basic kind of steps. Doing the key. Coming down to the keying. Key light. And we'll go ahead and pick a brighter area. Okay. And then we'll adjust some of these. You can adjust the gain. Sometimes this is a little too, in this case it seems to help a little bit. Actually, let's look at our map. We know for sure if it's helping. Okay, so yeah, you can see right here in this fabric, it's obviously a cityscape. You can see this different things. I'm shot here in this theater. But it helps a lot. You can definitely tell. And we can look at our screen mat, and we'll roll these figures. Okay, and we'll adjust this. Clip white. Oops. And you know, if you go over, under, it's gonna obviously do the negative effect. So going down a little bit more. Okay, so this is getting kind of close. We can rope this down. It's give and take. So that doesn't look bad. We can change this to hard color. Change this to final result, or not final result. I always do that. Source. We'll click different color. Okay. So we might want to, like I said, shrink that mask a little bit, and we'll take a look at the final result. And we can go ahead now and just go ahead and throw in our other effect that we like so much, or that I like so much, I should say, spill suppressor. Okay, so that helps so much, and plus with your mats that I'm gonna go ahead and create now, it's just gonna be an easier way of going ahead and extracting that background. So I'll just turn this to source, or I could just turn the effect off. That'd probably help a lot more while we go in here and do our garbage mats. So I'll go ahead and do Macbeth again, keeping to the red. And this doesn't have to be perfect, but of course the more tender love and care you're going to put into your work, the better results you're going to have in the end. I think that goes without saying. I can fly through this and it look like crap, or I can actually do something about it and make it look pretty darn good. But like I said before, always give detail where detail's due, and because this is a moving shot here, so maybe adding this here wouldn't be so smart. Maybe subtracting that and coming back. We can go off the page here, or off the frame. We can rope down here to a shoe. Okay. Oops. Spacebar. Okay. So the spacebar would run a RAM preview from that current time. I did mean to do the temporary hand tool. That's how you do that, spacebar, if I didn't mention that before. That's always nice. But it does if you tap it, run a preview. Okay. Again, I know this is very tedious and boring, but I'm just going to get this wrapped up here around his sword, his hand. Remember, no key's perfect, so especially not in our situation. So doing this is sometimes very necessary. Again, this sword, you can see here, obviously, it's within the bounds of another character, and I probably shouldn't be adding so much detail to this, but again, the camera's moving, so I'm gonna have to allow myself to have some more room to work with. Okay, so something to keep in mind. I could do all of this in one whole mat, but I would not have control over anything. I wouldn't have control over each main character or the characters that are also supporting in this scene. So just having more masks, yes, it is, I guess, more trouble, you could say, but in the long run, you're going to be able to control everything in your scene. Okay. So I'll just do the profile of his face here. Alright. So again, extractor from the background. I'll go ahead and grab this arrow tool, and we'll turn on our spill suppressor and key light, and go ahead and, since he looks like he's just a paper cutout, we can blur this maybe even more. Nah, then it starts to look a little washed out. So 3 to 5 seems to be nice. Of course, the expansion you can bring down like a half a pixel or whatever, negative, if you want to bring it in. So definitely keep all these in mind, because these are all your tools that you're going to be using to take all these characters out of the background, set the mask path, and then work backwards. I know I started from a random spot, but I like to work backwards. I think it's a little easier. And yeah. So again, to extract someone else, you would just grab your pen tool and go at it. Go ahead and set this to none, and then you do Banquo here, or the actor that's playing Banquo. You would also have a mask for him as well. For this guy over here, the girl, the whole party here. So another thing, you can see this girl's shirt is obviously a different color from everything else. What I would do I would just keep in mind when I was getting to this character that I would want to come in here and definitely use some of these settings to my advantage. I would probably duplicate this and have her on her own separate layer, because yes, purple and blue are very close in the color range. So kind of turn this on and off and see what the difference is. Well, I guess that's my cue to end this tutorial, because it's probably went on for too long. I got a phone call I need to take. So remember, have fun, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And I'll see you guys soon.